Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Curious Talks. Today's guest is Joel Johnson. He recently attended a series about Waymo, and in his Waymo series, he has covered his entire journey of him going in a self-driving car and all the problems a self-driving car faces and does not face. So it's been a pretty interesting journey, and this video does a deep dive about the same. Apart from that, we have chatted a lot about how AI works, his interest in AI, and the impact of AI on jobs. So I hope you would enjoy this conversation.
Okay, so hi, I am Joel Johnson. I am a autonomous vehicle enthusiast from Arizona in the United States. I go to Arizona State University for engineering, and I have a little series on YouTube called the JJRicksStudios with Waymo, where I just show people what it's like to ride in Waymo autonomous vehicles. And so far in my spreadsheet, I have 167 total rides for a total of 1,241 miles or 1,997 kilometers. So that's the that's the
So,
amount I have in autonomous vehicles. So I'm a big fan of autonomous vehicles, and I like to share what it's like with other people. So.
like, how was like the starting, like the initial experiences? Because we know that like autonomous vehicles have improved over the year and they have gained a lot of experience. So, like, what was it like starting it off? Like,
Yeah,
did
well,
it be as simple and as smooth as it is right now, or has it simplified a lot? Like, the experience has become more smooth.
yeah, I only started in 2019, so I kind of joined a little bit uh, like late to their writer program. But that's only because they let me in after a while. There was a wait list. So, but yeah, I'd say overall the experience has been very smooth. I'm very happy with the rides, and it's once you get going for a couple of minutes, it's very easy to forget that you're actually riding in an autonomous vehicle because you just kind of begin to trust it. The braking is smooth, the acceleration is smooth. Everything feels like it was designed specifically for passenger comfort. So I am very happy with that. And that's not to say there hasn't been improvements in driving technique and that sort of thing over time. At least from my perspective, I've seen some stuff that like over time I think it gets better. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. So
So, like, when you first stepped into an autonomous vehicle, what was going through your mind? Like, were you scared of like the AI doing something wrong or something? Because like that's one fear which anyone you talk to anywhere, they'll be like, okay, I'm not sure if this is going to lead me anywhere, right? Or
yeah,
something.
my oh boy, I still remember the first 20 minutes of like before I actually stepped into the car. And this was back in the time when they had humans watching them, just sitting in the driver's seat watching. It was still driving itself, but so like the yeah, I pulled into the parking lot where I was going to meet the car, and I was nervous. I really was. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I was well, I was really excited and I was nervous because I'm a big fan of the technology. I'm really passionate about it. So yeah, I was a little bit apprehensive. Gonna be honest. Yeah, I was kind of it was, and then I got in the car and we started going, and it just kind of like it just kind of felt normal after a while. It's just so weird to me that it was this quick that you just get in the car and bam, it's that easy. And I'm uniquely positioned, I think, to be a little more accepting of emerging technologies than the average
Yeah.
consumer would be, because of my, like I'll try anything if because it's really cool, right? But in order to get other people to try it and not freak out is a huge step. And I think when I have guests along with me, they're particularly excited or nervous for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then they just go back to talking with amongst each other, amongst themselves. Like everybody's on their phone again, scrolling Twitter or whatever. So yeah, it's really great. I like it. Yeah. I was nervous, but now I'm fine with it.
So you mentioned this when you started off, like there are some improvements in the system. So like, have you been able to point out some major differences since when you started and today? Like some major differences which have happened. Like I don't know, like improvement in taking turns or improvement in any kind of system support and anything.
Oh yeah. The three I like to point out, I think it's three. I don't know. Yeah, the ones I like to point out are unprotected left turns. So that's where
Yeah, just shown that.
yeah, Chandler is as you might see in the videos, Chandler, Arizona, United States is very organized. It was built for roads. Everybody follows the rules. Everybody, so like that's a good place to start for Waymo. And in terms of improvement, they've done a good job with the unprotected lefts, where you need to turn left and it's not protected by a light. So it needs to use its own means to make the turn. With parking lots is another one, where there are many people walking around. There used to be more heavy and sudden braking events, but now it's very smooth, very confident in parking lots. My favorite demo is to go to a store like Costco wholesale is popular in America, and a very busy store on the weekend. So you go there and yeah, so you can look at the screen in the car and watch how many things it's tracking at one time. All the pedestrians, all the people. That's everything about the smoothness has improved. And I said three things. So for the third thing, I'll put down the writer experience. I think the fact that you can kind of submit feedback and tell them what you think. That's not to say they've ever actually implemented anything I said in feedback, but they do ask for it. Like you can't actually, after a ride is over, you have to submit feedback. You can't get another ride unless you give it a star rating. So yeah, that's it's really nice here. I imagine it will be a while before you see Waymo taxis driving around in Mumbai, right? It's going to be a long time. But, yeah.
That has some problems. So yeah, I was just going to come to that. Like, when do you think like self-driving cars would take over like a highly developed region and when in like I don't know developing and underdeveloped regions? I mean, underdeveloped has its own problems to solve, and even developing countries that about employment. But I would like to know like when do you think would it be a mainstream thing?
Yeah, like everybody has their own guess, and I'm kind of a fan of the technology, but I don't work for anyone in the business. I have less information than one might usually have that's in the industry. But sure, everybody loves predictions, so I'll say, like maybe 10 years they have a bunch of cities covered, maybe a bunch of the major cities in some more populated like urban countries maybe. Well, they started in the United States. I think they might focus on some more of the bigger cities first and then kind of spread out, and then probably maybe 20 years we have more rural areas. I don't know. I really have no idea. I don't have enough information, but it is fun to speculate. Like I'd like this in my I'd like to be able to use this everywhere as soon as possible, but there's the still stuff to be worked out. So yeah.
Like, how did you like start filming these videos when you started off? Like, were people questioning you? What was like the scenario? It was like be more like, like, is this guy okay or something? I don't know.
Yeah, so really it started off in October of 2020 as when I started filming the videos, but I would have loved to start earlier than that. So I think I got in and I actually got access to Waymo cars in June of 2019. So I rode around occasionally up until March of 2020. And in March of 2020 is when the COVID-19 pandemic hit the United States really hard, specifically. So that's when Waymo shut down their passenger service. So for until October of 2020, they had no passengers had access to the vehicles, and that was crushing for me because I was really excited about it. And more specifically, it was crushing because right before they shut down, I got permission to film. So like it was, I actually I was back in, I think it was February of 2020 or March. I was listening to a podcast where they had the former CEO of Waymo, John Krafchick, on, and he said that the team at Waymo was really excited actually when people talked about and posted their riding experience, but that hardly anyone ever did. And I was just sitting there listening to that, thinking, John, hello, we all have non-disclosure agreements. How are we supposed to? How are we supposed to post our rides when we're not allowed to? I kind of like I got worked up a bit. I was like I went over to Waymo's Twitter or something like that, and I replied to them and said, hey, John said he likes it when people post videos, and I'd like to post videos, but I can't. So can I go on the public program, please? And they said yes. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I was ready to go in March 2020, and then they shut down. So that was a very sad set of months for me. I wasn't even concerned about the pandemic and public health. I was like, when can I film Waymo, right? You know, which looking back is just kind of selfish, but it's I don't know. But it's yeah. So I finally got started in October 2020. So that's when I posted my first video. It kind of blew up a little bit because nobody was actually kind of going on YouTube, taking their camera, recording the whole ride, not editing anything out, and posting it. Like I saw a huge gap in that content market. I was like, this is wide open. I'm gonna go right for it. I cannot believe there's not at least one other obsessive nerd, in this 300,000 people area willing to go record these cars. So I just went to it. I said, hey, I'm gonna answer people's questions as much as I can. I'm gonna film all manner of weird scenarios. I'm gonna try and get the car stuck. I'm gonna try and make a mistake. I'm gonna try. So I set off on a journey, and I ended up with 70 videos. Some of them aren't as good as others, but you know what? They're out there now. So oh yeah, and I'll see if I can continue the series later, maybe in a couple of years. But I don't have any time anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I got started. I want to answer people's questions, and I'd like to just share my experience. It's just basically sum it up. Because I really like making videos and I really like autonomous vehicles, so it's kind of the perfect combination.
It's kind of really interesting in one sense also because like you found a major gap which no one was filling in, because like it's a major opportunity but no one tapped on it. Like why did it happen? I'm not really sure. And I'm also not sure how, like, whether to tell you you're a tech YouTuber or an automobile YouTuber, or I don't know what do I label you as if I have to talk in YouTube sense.
Yeah, I just post whatever I feel like. So I started off with Minecraft, and then I went to trains, and then I did some Lego stop motion. I did some piano, and then I ended up back to trains, and then and now I did Waymo for a while. Then now I'm here. Waymo seems to have the biggest audience. So
Yeah. Like, I think it's like less saturation in the movie, like no saturation basically in one sense. So that was the thing. So what do you think of, like, since you're an automobile enthusiast, I think we need to bring up Tesla over here. So what do you think of, like, the Tesla full self-driving idea and concept? I don't know if you have tried it, but just asking like that.
Yeah, it's very heavily hyped in some communities. Looking at both of them, I think it's the opinion of many people, and I also kind of joined this bandwagon, that it's not real self-driving unless you don't need a driver's license and you don't have to sit in the seat and monitor the car. And I think a lot of people are somehow missing that there's this huge difference in like safety critical, like the amount of confidence that you have to say, don't touch the wheel, don't get in the front row, right? Don't even think about it. Like it's all the way on the other end where it's like Tesla's like, you better pay attention because it's going to do the worst thing at the wrong time, I think is the quote from their FSD beta terms and conditions pop up, and then meanwhile, Waymo's sticker on the steering wheel is do not touch the wheel, the car will pull over. Now, a lot of people argue back and go, oh, Waymo is geofence and it only works in a tiny area, and whatever. They decide that area. They could really expand. Like, I'm not going to get into it. I could argue with a lot of people, but I don't have access to the whatever. But it just seems stupid to me that people are like comparing these two things are just completely. I don't know. I don't have confidence that Tesla can do it. Maybe in the future. They have a lot of cool people, a lot of cool engineers, but I don't know. Cameras, really crappy cameras and low processing power, and I don't know. I'm not qualified to say, but I am a little biased. But yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to try it though. I would like to try it. Maybe it'll change my mind. Somebody out there, reach out.
So what have been your since you have been a Waymo person, what is your weirdest or scariest experience with Waymo? So far,
experience.
Scary or weird? Either of that would do.
Yeah, it's probably the scariest would be my now most viewed Waymo video, which is number 54, where it got stuck in a construction zone with a bunch of people going around it very, very quickly. And then things amped up when the car actually drove away from the response team 3 times, I think. So the people were going to take over the car and fix it and drive me to my destination manually. And then the car pulled off. Like, it just seemed like a huge miscommunication thing, and I was just kind of trapped and I couldn't do anything about it. So, and I made it out and it was fine, and I got a lot of views, and I guess that was worth it. But yeah.
Wait, so did you get the views because people anti self-driving car people were like, this is some validation for us or anything?
Yeah, something like that, and just the spectacle of it. I guess it got picked up by a bunch of international news people, and I got a bunch of interviews with the BBC and CNN and Fox and whatever. It was a time. Yeah, it was a bunch of tech outlets. Everybody just went crazy and overblew this completely. Come on, guys. So if it was like a total crash where the system actually hurt somebody, right? But it just got, I don't know. It was a perfect storm. It was hilarious. It was a kind of a bad PR thing for them, and I feel bad, but no, they didn't take away my access to the system. They didn't say anything to me. I let them know ahead of time I was going to publish it, and they said, go ahead, but can we give you a statement to put in the video? And I said, fair enough, right? If you're just going to let me publish this video where I make you look really bad, and that you just want me to put a statement in front, yeah, I don't want to make them look bad. I'm really happy with the technology, and I want it to improve and become safe and that kind of thing. It's my whole goal is to be honest with people. It's like, I want to show you what it's like right now. What do you see right now? How is it improving over time? And when there's a mistake, people tend to watch that more because it's more exciting. They don't watch the video, the 35-minute video where nothing happened, or it drives in a straight line and then it turns right. It's it's the nature of the content beast, and maybe people got the wrong interpretation, but I tried to tell people hey, give it a chance, so but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, since you're talking about scary experiences, since you've driven the Waymo for over a year now, what are the biggest problem which you think Waymo needs to solve before it gets adopted by many people, or just makes the ride more fun and easy? Because that's one thing which is probably what Waymo needs and what people need.
Yeah, I'd say probably my biggest thing for the passenger side, at least, has got to be the routing, because you can choose your pickup and you can choose your drop off to an extent, but you can't choose the route that the car will take. And for that matter, you can only kind of pick destinations that are in parking lots and in neighborhoods and that kind of thing. And that makes sense. You're not going to have the car pull over in the middle of a very busy road to pick you up, right? But some of it is just kind of ridiculous, where very common places like store parking lots or gas stations are just completely off the map. You can't go there only because it had trouble in that area one time, and that was enough for them to remove it from the system. So I can recall a situation where I took the car into a neighborhood with a particularly complex turn that meant that it had to 3-point turn to make its way out, and I did that enough times, or eventually it got stuck, and they took it off the map. I can't go there anymore. So yeah, it's definitely a process. I think work on the routing and work on the pickup and drop offs, and those are very complex problems. I mean, Waymo is the first and only company that's letting people get in their car with nobody in the front seat, film it, and post an unbiased review. Like, that shows a huge amount of confidence. So I think they can until there's competition, they can kind of set their own bar on that. I guess they can set the standard of like what an autonomous taxi service looks like right now. So all the power to them. Keep it up. But if I were to say work on anything, it'd be the routing and the pickup drop off spots.
Like, what's need? Like, do you think like a social experience inside a car is needed? Like something like to entertain, like how Tesla has, like that games and all inside.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so, is that something which needed, or
I mean, right now I'm just entertained by looking at the car screen that shows all the stuff around you. I mean, but I do have my phone, so I just kind of use that. But because maybe the longest trip you would normally take is about 45 minutes. So like if they had long haul stuff, like say Waymo long haul taxi, say like air rental, like if you got a car in one city and then you would take a day's drive to another city where you could like sleep in the back, then maybe I would say worry about the entertainment systems and that kind of thing. But yeah, not right now. I think they can. Yeah, no, we'll probably work on that later, I guess. But yeah, it would be cool for more options. Like the music system as it stands right now kind of drives me crazy because the only music service that I pay for is Spotify, and the only music service that they don't support is Spotify. So it's like it's whatever. So you can't really play music in the car if you're a Spotify subscriber, but oh well. Maybe they'll work on that.
if we have to change anything, like do you think like the social experience is fine for a Waymo right now, or do you think like for someone who's like older or is having like difficult to onboard on this kind of stuff, do you think for them like what should be there in to make them comfortable, like especially someone older, like
Yeah,
the
like
music system and all, like there's like some compliments for someone who's already comfortable, but for someone who's not, what do you think should be there?
yeah, like so Waymo has some accessibility features, and I think some people say they can be greatly improved. I'm not a person with any disability that would mean that I would actually need to use those features, but they are available. I would name some of them that would make people more comfortable is probably there's an option in the app where you can tell the car to kind of narrate what it's doing. So it'll say turning right onto Ocotillo Road, or turning right onto Dobson Road, or turning left onto whatever. Or it'll say slowing down for school zone, or construction zone, or that kind of thing. So it'll just say what it sees out loud. And a big part of my trust, and probably other people's trust in the vehicles, has got to be that rider screen where you can actually see all of what the car sees. I think that goes a long way to making people feel more comfortable. At least in my experience, when if you have a question about what the car is doing, you can just like look up at the screen, see, oh, there's a car right there, and there's one right there, and it's waiting for that one to turn, so it's more safe if it waits. And like the recent, kind of off top, kind of like on a tangent here, but I don't know if you saw the Waymo iPace crash in San Francisco with the scooter, where it was as it turns out in the safety report, the car was engaged and it it was self-driving. It went into the intersection and it just stopped. And the safety driver disengaged the car, apparently because it waited too long to go, and then they hit the scooter. So like the car saw the scooter way off in the distance and decided not to go because it wasn't safe. Then the human said, "Why are you not going?" Took over and then hit the scooter. So it's like we've gotten to the point where the car is safer than the human in terms of like perception and that kind of thing. So I think that might go a long way to comforting people. Yeah, if I was the user experience designer, I'd probably have more to say on that. But I think they kind of do a good job having the car make you feel comfortable because it gives you enough information and it's very transparent.
Like, what do you think about like AI in general? Because you have been an enthusiast, so like, what are your thoughts on AI in general in that case?
So like artificial intelligence stuff in
Yeah.
general, do you think?
Yeah,
I think
you could start from the tangent of automobiles, and then we could go to the in general.
yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. I guess I kind of follow Google's progress and that kind of thing, like DeepMind and that sort of thing. And in general, I think it's pretty exciting to see what kind of cool things you can do. Like sorting photos by object, it is now just so commonplace in consumer apps or whatever. But 20 years ago, that was probably like really high end technology, or maybe didn't exist at all. I don't know. But it's just really cool that. Oh, and actually, I'm using AI right now on this microphone, where it's like I'm using NVIDIA RTX voice, so I can clap, and you shouldn't be able to hear it at all because of
Yeah,
the
I
noise
can't.
cancellation.
Yeah,
You can't. See, that's the yeah. But that's why I am really excited about all the consumer technologies that are coming out more recently, and it just seems like it's getting faster and faster. Especially with and the Google Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro having like Tensor custom silicon and all that. Yeah, on device speech recognition, Google Assistant. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. I'm glad. I'm glad to see it all. Maybe I can participate in it once I finish my engineering degree. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, but
so yeah, like, do you think like this is the purpose of this is to make life easier? But like, there's a lot of skepticism around this, the fear of losing jobs. So what are your thoughts on that part? Like, especially with like self-driving cars, the biggest question is how many jobs are you going to replace, and what's going to happen? So what do you answer for that whenever you are asked the same?
yeah, that is. I guess that's pretty big. It's not like the transportation is, I guess, one of the biggest industries around the world, especially in the United States. That's several million jobs, and yeah, it's something to watch out for. I mean, yeah, a lot of the top jobs are actually really old jobs, and a lot of the new jobs, like software developer, aren't as prevalent. A lot of people say, people will think of new jobs that don't even exist. That people didn't even think of. Like YouTuber is now a job. And, like 30 years ago, that would have just been like, what? People can post videos online and have that be their living, right? But yeah, maybe people will find something new. Maybe something will pop up, or maybe it'll be complicated. I guess I'm not really speaking from education here, but I guess it depends on how fast the rollout is, or I don't know what's gonna pop up. But it'll be a big change up. It'll be serious. Like once it's cheap enough, and then it'll probably just switch really fast. I guess this would be my prediction, but cool. Yeah, it'll be serious, and I hope for everybody's sake it goes well. Everybody finds something, but yeah, hopefully there's new jobs that people didn't even think of.
I think would be like the iPhone movement for self-driving cars.
Maybe once like cool. Maybe once it's available in personal cars, like personal vehicles, where like level 4 is available in a personal vehicle that you can buy. Maybe that'll be probably the iPhone moment, is the when you can be fully hands off, mind off, go to sleep in your own car, and then end up in a way somewhere else. And have the car drive itself, charge itself overnight. That kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe for
Could you
the
explain
first.
the level 4 term?
Yeah. So as I understand them, and they are a little bit debated, but there are the SAE levels of self-driving. So I don't remember them exactly off the top of my head, but basically everything up to level 3 means that a human has to pay attention and be able to watch the car, and level 4 to level 5 is where you can totally hands off. And a lot of people argue that level 5, which is totally car driving itself, no human intervention ever, drives everywhere, they argue that it's kind of impossible because you don't really need to drive everywhere, like off-road, up a hill, around it. If I were to recommend a really good article, I would say the one by Alex Roy on why level 5 makes no sense. Is probably a really good read. But yeah, basically the levels is just like how good the car is at driving itself. And we have stuff like level 2 right now is driver assist. So it'll lane keep, it'll change lanes for you, it can speed up and slow down, and like adaptive cruise control. Like that's assisting the driver, but it's not self-driving. So yeah.
So
True self-driving is when you don't need a driver's license anymore.
one example which you could give is like Tesla's FSD is probably around level 2 or level 3, while Waymo's is level 4.
Yeah, I think the official papers say it's level 2 ADAS. Yeah, advanced driver assistance.
Yeah. Would you like to tell the viewers at the end, your audience who might be coming to see, or new people coming to see, what would you like to tell them about anything, like about AI or anything about cars? I don't know.
What I like to tell them. Well, I hope it rolls out. I hope this technology rolls out to people fast. I hope everybody gets to try it because it is going to be life-changing. It's already life-changing for me, even though I can't really use it for practical purposes. It's more of a hobby. But yeah, it is. I hope everybody, if you do get the chance, do try it. Yeah, that's what I'd like to say. Is if you can, go check it out. Come over to Phoenix, Arizona, USA, if you have the time and means and that kind of thing. And maybe they'll be in San Francisco very soon. So I don't know. Yeah.
Metaverse is the next chapter for the internet.
Metaverse.
Metaverse.
The metaverse.
The metaverse.
Metaverse.